Over an out-of-focused background of musicians on a chancel, a single hand raised in praise, fingers spread. Come, come, whoever you are. Do you hear that voice calling you, calling us? That voice which calls us together here today in this room, made holy by our presence and by the sacred breath we share in our singing and speaking and silence. That voice which calls us to remember that we are not alone and that we are inextricably linked to all other life, woven into a vast tapestry of existence, of which we are a powerful, integral, and holy part. And just as we have been called together here today, we act as the voice, the heart, the hands of another call. The call to walk with the wanderers, sing and dance with the worshipers, proclaim the memory of those who have taken their leave, wrap the despairing and the broken in the arms of love and community, and hold the hands of all of us who have broken our vows and call us back again and again to the covenant and work of justice, humility, and steadfast faithfulness. For this we are together today. So, my friends, come yet again, come, let us worship together.
In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And now we will light our Advent wreath. We join with others throughout time and beyond time in the practice of repairing the world. Will you join with me? Change is possible. We give thanks for the role models of the past and for the leaders of the future. We light the candle for hope. And Mary will be playing We Give Thanks.
this precious day. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Good morning. I'm Dan Vaughn, a member of this congregation, serving with the worship, membership, engagement, and outreach teams, as well as singing in the choir. I share leadership of today's service with Cory Ness, our Director of Religious Exploration, and Yvonne DuVal, our Director of Music. Today's service is multi-generational, which means that it was intentionally created to be hospitable to all generations. We will set a worship table of thanksgiving for all that is good in our lives with song, story, and bread communion. You have been invited to bring a bread from your own family culture. That could mean an old family recipe, or the Wonder Bread that you ate as a child, or a special gluten-free loaf, and many options in between. Sharon and I, being from the South, we brought cornbread this morning. Today's service will include breads made of many different grains and other staple foods. Bread of various kinds has been the foundation of life in many cultures and throughout time. Whether you are a member or a visitor joining us in person or are gathering virtually, we are so happy that you have chosen to join us this morning. For those online, a Zoom online coffee hour will follow the service starting at 11:30. For those of us here in person, we will have coffee hour in person in the common room downstairs. If you don't regularly visit Unitarian churches, you will know that the coffee hour is just slightly more important than the service we have right now, okay? So in the spirit of transformative power of the community in all its forms, we are so happy to welcome you to UCH. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. Now, if you will share with me, if you share my convictions of these words of our covenant, I invite you to join with me as we recite them together. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Test, test. Good morning. I wanted to plan a song for you. Let our hearts not be hardened to those living on the margins. There is room at the table For everyone, this is where it all begins. This is how we gather in. There is room at the table for everyone. Too long have we wandered, burdened and undone, but there is room at the table for everyone. Let us sing the new world in. This is how it all begins. There is room at the table for everyone. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. There's enough if we share. Come on, pull up a chair. There is room at the table for everyone. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can feel those of your needs that you won't let show. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, there is room at the table for everyone. Here and now we can be the beloved community. There is room at the table for everyone. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. There is room for us all, and no gift is too small. There is room at the table for everyone. Lean on me, everyone. Lean on me, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. That was lovely. We have a special guest that's going to help out. You're going to help me out today, Jack and Jessica. Whoops. Okay. All right, so we have a table here because we believe in community and what we have to give to and receive from one another. We are fed in relationship, and the table is our symbol. Jack. Okay. We have a cloth on the table because each life is interwoven. With every other life, the cloth is our symbol of the love which binds us and covers us. Why do we have flowers on the table? Well, we have flowers on the table so that we remember to see the mystery and the beauty of creation, which continually surrounds us. Flowers are our symbol of the grace which springs up into our lives. In case you didn't hear that, he asked us, why do we have a candle on the table? Well, we have a candle on the table because we believe in the light of faith, hope, and love. The candle is our symbol of the light and of our flaming chalice, which guides our search for truth. The table is now set.
This is the time. This is the time in our service where we invite you to share a joy, a sorrow, or a concern. For those online, feel free to type your concern in the chat, and one of our techs will prepare a slip of paper and write it down for us to share. For those here, we invite you to come forward to light a candle, put a stone in the water, and or write a message to be shared. If a message is written, please indicate that you don't want it to be shared to the congregation aloud, if that's the case. To keep the flow moving smoothly, we ask that you please come up the middle aisle. I've been wanting to do this for months now. You come up the middle aisle and then go out to the outer aisles as you leave. Spoken or unspoken, your joys, sorrows, or concern is held in our thoughts and prayers.
I'm going to explain or sing the chant for you so you can join the chant. But I want to explain why we're singing it. Most of you know that our beloved Kathy Stewart passed this week. And Lois is going to tell the story of why we're singing this. Yashapur Allah means essentially thanksgiving. And Yahamid means praiseworthy. And Allah, this is a Sufi chant. Allah, typically we think of it as meaning the Arab word or the Islamic word for God, but it's kind of everything and nothing. So in essence, what we're singing about is that we are being thankful and all of creation is praiseworthy, which is very Kathy Stewart, but there's more.
A note first that her kids asked us to adopt many of her plants. And so before one of them goes to its final home, we decided to share that with you all this morning. So that's the reason for that plant here today. Tall and magnificent as Kathy was. When Caroline visited Kathy in the hospital last Sunday morning, Kathy asked her to express her gratitude to all of you who blessed her with cards and visits and phone calls. We didn't know that she was going to die that very next day. She seemed to be doing well that day and was visiting with everyone then, but her daughter, one of her daughters, let us know Monday morning that she had declined rather quickly overnight. And several of us were there several hours before she died when the doctor came in and did what doctors are inclined to do, trying to ask some orienting questions to see how with it Kathy was. And she seemed rather irritated by most of the questions, like they were beneath her, and she pretty much ignored him until he asked what the next holiday was. And she struggled to be able to say the last word she ever said, which was Thanksgiving.
So we're singing about Thanksgiving. You can stay here, Lois, and sing. But we're all going to sing. It goes like this. I was with Kathy when she passed, and we were singing, she and our kids and I, she wasn't singing, were singing Festival of Friends, which we often sing, and there's a great line in the song that says, "One give it all in one great flame, blowing kisses as they pass. And that's when I noticed that Kathy was not breathing anymore.
We'll now drop one more stone for those joys and sorrows that were not expressed. And light one more candle for same concern. I will say, I have been lighting the candle every time I'm at church for the last 3/4 of the year. Keeping you frank, I light it kind of easy. I was given one slip. Were there any others that I missed? Then I'll share this with you. Cory writes, thanks to everyone for their kind words and texts, emails, and cards during this time of mourning after my mother's death. So we are mindful of Cory. We will now take a moment of silence, and however you lift up your voice and heart and soul, do so at this time. We'll conclude with Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow with the wind, rise in the sea, with the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots holding close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
When Yvonne and I signed up to lead this service, I, in my mind, had no idea all the different happenings in the world would be going on. So forgive me if I'm a bit off my game today. Voice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Will you please come forward and stand with me? I'll let you guys get lined up and I'll just go ahead and start reading. Once upon a time, there was a family. Maybe this family had not quite enough to eat, or maybe they had just enough, or perhaps they had more than enough. You might not have been able to tell. They may not have been able to tell. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you have enough or not. It's hard not to want more or different things than you have. In any case, this family came together one autumn day for a celebration, a feast, a time of gratitude. They gathered as we have done before around a table. There was food, there was drink, there were flowers to remind them of beauty. And then there was a call from the gate outside the door.
Excuse me. Hello, we're hungry and thirsty, and we see you have a feast. May we come in?
Well, the family didn't know at first how to answer. Who were these people at the gate? Was it safe to let these people in? Did they have enough to share? Was there room? But they remembered. Hannah.
They remembered that most of them had come to this family, to this celebration, from someplace else.
They remembered that even they, who were there at that table, had not always been kind to each other. There had been times when they hurt each other. There were still times when they made each other sad, angry, or afraid. There is no way to make life completely safe.
They remembered the times when others had shared with them, even when the others might not have had quite enough of their own.
They remembered when each new member of the family had born, or come to stay, or married in. They remembered that they had always found a way to make room.
And they remembered an old saying, when you have more than you need, it is better to build a longer table than to build a higher fence.
We have enough, they said. We might have more than enough. We are many and strong, and we can hold a safe place here in our home for all who come. And so they went out of their door and to the gate in the fence. They opened the gate and they invited the people in. Inside, they pulled out another table and made the space for these newcomers. They covered it with a cloth, and the newcomers set upon it a dish full of something fragrant and delicious, which was strange and wonderful to the family. Everybody shared, and there was enough. I want us to notice that we only heard one part of the story. We heard the story of the people who were in the family, in the house, ready to feast. We didn't hear the story of the people at the gate wanting to come in. We don't know who they are or why they are here or what they bring to the table other than the unfamiliar and wonderful food. So when you hear stories this season, I want you to think about whose stories they are and whose stories they aren't, and what those stories might have been. Thank you.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leading. It does not matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times. Come, yet again, come. As we sing through this poem set to music, as we've done many times before, I invite you to reflect on its meaning. We come here joined together as a community of faith, each of us imperfect, Despite us breaking our vows time and time again, we are all worthy of a place at the table. All are worthy of communion. We'll start with the drone, continuing through the entirety of the hymn. If you would like to join our drone voices, you are welcome to do so. And then the rest of us will sing through as a 4-part hymn. So we'll have part 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I can have this group kind of split up into, so I'll come over and help direct you as we come in. Okay?
So for those who aren't aware, I used to be a minister in an evangelical church, in a really conservative evangelical church for many decades. Sharon and I come from a heritage that was, even by evangelical terms, kind of an outlier, kind of peculiar group. We had certain things we did that most conservative Protestant congregations or denominations didn't do, including a high emphasis on baptism by immersion in order to be saved, and things like not using instruments in our worship because it never is mentioned in the New Testament and Old Testament. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. So one of the other things that was peculiar about our particular denomination was that we had communion every Sunday because we felt like that was the direction from, or the example that we found in the New Testament. So to add on top of all of that, right after I got out of high school, I went over to Italy because those pagan Catholics needed converting to real Christianity. Yeah, and so I spent a couple of my years there proselytizing, I guess is the word to use. And I was 18, 19, and 20 when all of that occurred. One particular Sunday, we happened to be out visiting some folks that lived in a smaller town and weren't able to make it in to our place of gathering. And we had a little service in this family's home. And we were going to have communion. Oh, I might point out about communion, we also were very insistent that it be unleavened bread, because that's what Jesus used, and grape juice, because that's what, well, grape juice. And anyway, so we set the stuff out for communion that Sunday, and we said something about Jesus being the bread of life. And the old man, who was not a part of the congregation, but happened to be living there and with that family, quite old man, and this is in 1974. Shows how old I am. Just as we're getting ready to do this, he said, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Actually, he said, aspetta, che fai? But anyway, he said, I don't know what this is. You keep talking about Jesus being the bread of life. Wait a minute. He gets up, he walks out, walks into the kitchen, comes back with this big loaf of hearty, masculine bread. I mean, good and crusty on the outside, plenty of air holes inside. Takes a little bit of oomph to tear it open. He tears it open, and he said, during the war, referencing World War II, during the war, often all we even had to eat was this bread. And when you say the bread of life, this is what I think about, not that, whatever that cracker is. That was one of the first times at age 19 I really started to get a feeling for how much broader my world really is than I was realizing. And I realized over the years, as I evolved from a broader view of faith and then just everything, and no longer identified particularly as a Christian, I realized that the bread of life still has a lot of meaning. And it's not limited to that character, that person of Jesus who lived some 2,000 years ago. Bread of life is a phrase that is just so replete with vigor and meaning and sustenance and life and life and life. So now whenever I have the bread of life in whatever its form, I remember that first time I was raised in my awareness.
Thank you, Dan. Well, the table is set. We are gathered around it. This is how it all begins. There is room at the table for everyone. No gift is too small. Our table is about to be filled with many gifts, with the bread of life. Made of many different grains and other staple foods, bread of various kinds has been the foundation of life in many cultures and periods in our collective history. The world's oldest bread ever found was over 14,000 years old and was made from wild grains because that was before people learned how to farm. Most breads are baked. Some are steamed or deep fried. Many are leavened with yeast. Some are flat and raised with soda. Some of you brought a loaf of bread to share, one that is special to you in some way, perhaps as a part of your own heritage or associated with one of your ancestors. Before I continue, I would like anyone that has brought bread to come forward and place it on our table. All right, so now Anne and Sharon will go ahead and prepare our table for us. And Jack, I'm going to ask you to go sit down. So before the service began, I got to hear some of the stories of where your breads came from and why they are so special. The story says there's room at the table no matter who you are and no matter where you're from. Well, as true as that may be, it does matter who you are and where you're from. So we want to know. We want to hear your stories. So sharing the true stories of who we are is how we become the beloved community. So I ask each of you to turn to someone sitting near you, maybe someone you don't know well. But if there is someone you do know and you end up talking with them, well, that's okay too. Think for a moment. Think about what you know about bread. Think about what bread you ate when you were a child. Think about what bread you eat now. Or maybe the story of why you didn't eat bread or don't now. Think about your favorite kind of bread, or a kind of bread that your ancestors made and ate. Tell that person near you your story. Listen to the person near you telling you their story. Go ahead, let's share. All right, so we can talk more about our bread stories after the service. All right, attention. I know, once we get talking, it's hard to stop. So now I am about to invite each of you to come forward and choose a bread to take back to your seat to eat. So even if you are not comfortable eating bread today for whatever reason, please come forward to look carefully at our beautiful gifts of bread that your fellow community members have brought to us today. And breathe in the aroma and hold that memory of these loaves in your mind. This is a family feast, like in our story. Reflecting on our individuality, there are no rules or requirements of how you should eat the bread. You can eat your bread right away. You can take it carefully back to your seat. You can eat it greedily or mindfully. And to reflect our essential humanity, this communion is supposed to be messy and deliberately not perfect. So please, don't worry about the crumbs. For our viewers at home, you too are invited to walk back to your kitchen and select a piece of bread and return for the rest of the service. You will be invited forward as Libby plays some background music, but I would like to stress that everybody come to the middle, like we did earlier, and then walk. Yes, you got it. And it appears that we will have picture taking, so anybody not following the rules will have that on record. All right, thank you. Please join us in the middle, walk down the aisle, and select your bread.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. The Unitarian Church of Harrisburg is a freely gathered church of free people. The church is created, sustained, and supported by you. The ministry continues even whether or not the church building is open. Each month, we share half of our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit organization, and for the final Sunday in the month of November, UCH will be sharing the plate with the Ecumenical Food Pantry. For 50 years, the Ecumenical Food Pantry has worked to meet the emergency food needs of people in the greater Harrisburg area. For more information about this organization, as well as other current activities, you can see the bulletin insert that you received here in person. And if you're online, you can read our digital news you use that was sent on Friday. For those who wish to contribute online, please see the email with the link for today's service or visit uchbg.org homepage for options for contributing. For those who are here in the sanctuary who wish to contribute in person, the collection plates will be passed around by the ushers today. The other ushers. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving as you're able.
I'd now like to invite all of you to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. It's in the gray book 128, For All That Is Our Life.
And now, as we prepare to leave this table, this communion of bread and fellowship, I ask you to rise in body or spirit, as you are already doing, and take the hand of the person next to you, if you are comfortable, as a symbol of that, young or old, and wherever we come from, each of us is part of this community and we share in our lives together. We are deeply grateful today for all we have been freely given, for all the ways in which we have enough, or perhaps even more than enough, and for all the ways in which our lives are truly blessed. May the beauty of our earth and skies, the love which surrounds us, and everything we consider holy give us the strength and willingness to reach beyond what we know, to welcome from our places of abundance, to love from our places of abundance, to share from our places of abundance.